Swooning for some jazz.
Let Nothemba Madumo serve you up some jazz and beyond.
On 702 and CapeTalk.
It is Jazz and Beyond on 702 and CapeTalk, where you come for the jazz, you stay for a good time with me, Nothemba. It is a time where we have these amazing conversations with some of the best creatives that we get to come across, some from this country and some from this country, but also live in the rest of the world. Today's guest actually is a very fascinating young South African musician because he doesn't fit into a single category. What I love about what he does, he simultaneously is a jazz pianist, he's a composer, he's a sound engineer, he's a record producer, songwriter, he's a DJ, gosh, he's an entrepreneur, he's an educator. I'm sure there's more, but we only have time for a few for now. But his story is not simply about becoming a successful musician. It's also just about understanding how music can exist across artistic, commercial, and technological worlds. So I'm really expecting a very interesting, insightful, and educational conversation with Apiwe Bubu. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. When I talk about you like that, do you smile or you get surprised? Is that me?
Yeah.
Or you like, yeah, that's me. And is there more than what I just mentioned?
Right. And I laughed when you said, I'm sure there's more. I'm like, whoa, what more can they be? No, I get surprised, definitely surprised. You know, when you're doing it, you're just taking the actions and you're in the game, or you're on the field. So you don't know, maybe you're not keeping up with the scoreboard because you're just so busy playing the game. So every time you're listing those things, I'm like, yeah, that sounds familiar. Oh yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you do these things, I like you say, you're just doing them at the time. But did you even think that, when you were a young chap, that there is just so many facets of you, that you will discover and explore?
Yeah. I think I definitely didn't see that all happening, the facets, right?
Yeah.
Because it all just began with the love of the piano. That's like the foundational aspect of what then happens, because in high school, discovering, okay, this thing plays notes, this is how music is made perhaps, because you're a kid, you just hear music.
Sure.
And you just think, oh, it's music. For some reason, you don't try to figure out. It's like how children don't know how kids are made. Like, hi, mommy, how was I made? Oh, the bird came and dropped you off. It's like, oh, okay, music doesn't get dropped off by a bird. It gets made by people. So eventually I found out that the piano had a lot to do with it.
What was it about the sound of
the piano
that just drew you in?
Yeah, it must have been the fact that it covers all the notes, right? So when you play a chord or a melody or a bass line, it's some part of the song.
Sure.
It literally is able to cover the entire structure of a song. So when I would fiddle, I was classically trained, and then, with classical training, you read a lot. So you almost don't know that there's a creative aspect behind this. You think that music is just reading. That's what I thought. It's like, oh, I can read music. I can play Beethoven. I can play Mozart. Oh, but what about Bob Marley? The pop stuff. They don't teach you that. They don't share that knowledge with you. So Michael Jackson was one of my favorite artists. In fact, I watched Michael Jackson last night.
The movie?
At the cinema, yeah. One man. I was sitting there like a kid. I was like 10 years old again.
Serious?
Yeah, I had popcorn. I was like, wow.
I haven't watched the movie yet, but of course I am still a big Michael Jackson fan.
Yeah.
And as in fact, since the movie, there's so much content that has come out about his story and some stuff that we've never seen or heard before.
Yeah.
But when you were watching the movie,
Mm.
what were you just there in glee? and what thoughts about yourself came out of that?
Very good one. So, if anybody knew me growing up as a kid, 10 years old, they used to actually call me Michael Jackson because I used to actually be that guy.
You don't
I'd
say.
enter the
Red jacket with the zips and things.
anything, the hairstyle, I'd
Yeah.
perm and do the moonwalk, get into school competitions as Michael Jackson. So, so then I was watching it and I'd see him idolizing James Brown in the movie, right? And I'd be like, and he was a kid too.
Yes.
Practicing the moves because I used to spend the day at home after school watching the Bad tour and practicing the moves. I knew the whole concert.
Ne?
I could perform it for 2 hours with him. I never sat down when I watched it. I did everything that he did. So I was looking at that and I was like, hey, maybe this thing began even before you discovered the piano. Maybe you were just listening to Michael so much and you were listening and watching how he is as an entertainer. So I was getting those flashbacks when I was watching that yesterday.
Wow. And any lessons there about where you are now, and especially regarding the fact that today we're still talking about him, his legacy and longevity, and still relevant.
You know, and when I was watching it, there was a clear indication of how much time he put in, how much work it was. Because as someone who's now in the profession and seeing what he's achieved and the impact, and then you see him going at it, like when they shoot the Thriller video, when he does all these big blockbuster videos at the time.
Yeah.
The big production and the album, the way they do it with Quincy and the work they put in. It was like the work ethic aspect was very like clear that, and then obviously he's been doing it since he was a kid. So he became a master. Maybe he even became a wizard at some point. It was just him. It was part of his life.
Sure.
So that lesson about just being persistent about stuff and putting in the work and putting in the hours was very clear that he did that.
Yeah, he didn't become what he was.
No,
because I have the talent and I don't have to practice, but he put in the hours. I think that also just goes with everything in life,
Yeah,
I guess.
Absolutely, because now when you take it back to the piano, me discovering the piano after that period of my life, that stage, I'm in boarding school, I'm in Joburg, I'm a young kid, 12, my parents sent me to boarding school from the Eastern Cape, so I'm basically very far from family. So there wasn't that comfort of going home to mommy or daddy every day. It was a boarding school, and the pianos were in these like corners of the corridors where you could actually just open the door and just the piano by itself.
Okay.
So I would walk in there like for me time and I'd fiddle, and that's when it kept on growing. And eventually I took the lessons, and the practicing was the key thing of like, I think one of the music head of the school department would notice that I was passionate, and he would say, "Oh, you're putting in the time. Then he would give me extra lessons on top of the normal lessons, because he could tell like there was some. He kept on saying, "No, I see something. I can tell that you're about this."
I like that element of putting in the time. As I was saying, it goes with anything. If you don't put in the time, you don't get the results. Now, tell me, because you've lived in South Africa, you've lived in Boston, in Spain, in LA. Where does home exist today for you?
I had this question before when it was like, where's home? Because of all these places that you've been, And at some point, I think for me, it's definitely the places that I connect with as a person, right? As a human being, and in my experience and my attachment to these places. So it's more than one, because I have really strong connections and experience in these places and memories, which have become homely. So Los Angeles is one of them, right? because I'm here now in Johannesburg, I'll mention it, but obviously everybody knows I'm born and raised here. So this is definitely home. Los Angeles being one of them. And recently, maybe this week, I was like, man, how much are you missing Los Angeles? I was like, very much, a lot. So, and it's a vibe. It's like the things that are different about Johannesburg, that are different about Cape Town, that are different about Los Angeles, that are different about Spain. And Los Angeles is home. Boston, I let it go. I like it as a visiting city. I was just there to school. I did my education, and most of the time I was at school anyway. It wasn't a city I resonated with. So Los Angeles is one of them. I definitely would love to have a home in Spain eventually, in Valencia, because it really impacted my thought frame. I didn't want to go back to LA when I was there. I was like, why do I have to go back? This is a life. These people really live versus working to live, you know?
Yeah. Your journey to Berkeley, required you to audition for 4 years. What were you doing in that auditioning and that determination that, listen, Berkeley ngiyaye noma kanjani?
Yo. Yeah, that determination. And
a commitment of what was that driving force for you?
Yeah. I think I couldn't compromise the vision.
Which was?
Yeah. The vision being partly what I'm doing now, right? And what I'm able to do because of that. The resources, the capacity, the leverage, the experience, it all then became a sum end game, which Berkeley was a huge part of. And so I couldn't compromise it, because at that point I decided at the beginning of that journey that, look, if let's say you are talented as they say, right? And at the time I'd already started working at Urban Brew Studios, composing for them for TV, which already was quite a feat apparently at the time, right? This was 2004. For their TV shows, theme music, that's the first time
I worked there as well, you know that.
Which year was this? Do you remember which year?
Let's not go there.
No?
Yeah, but the times of Wars a Weekend and stuff like that, and
So then, they employed me as a composer and an engineer. And 9 to 5, I'd come in, do the, create music, and it was a good job. It was a dream job. Then I said, okay, what is it? What's the vision? Then I started formulating this vision, and it became clear that Berkeley was a part of the journey, was a part of the steps that I would need to take, especially if I'm wanting to scale at a global level, be taken seriously wherever I go, whether it's in the States, in Europe, Asia, because everybody already recognizes the institution and the credibility it has. So I remember leaving my full-time employ and being home and practicing for those auditions. And my parents thinking I'm crazy. It's like, you did your engineering certificate, you got a job, which is unheard of in Johannesburg, like the dream job, and you quit. What's this vision? And I said, no, it's bigger than that. That's the thing. I need to be out there. So it took a couple of years, 4 or 5 years of traveling, Mozambique auditions. First time I ever left the country was for the first audition in Maputo. All I carried was a backpack. When I booked a ticket, that's it. I didn't book a place to sleep. I was like, I'll figure that out when I land. Then I realized they speak Portuguese when I landed. I was like, oh, this is harder than I thought it would be. I'm going to have to speak in broken English. And then I did the audition, didn't go well. Got the disappointing news, and I was like, okay, that was just that was the first try. Let's do it again. Durban, Kenya, Nairobi. So these are succession of years that are like close but no cigar. Oh, please come back again. No scholarship. things like that, because at the time, definitely a scholarship was needed
Sure.
to make this happen. It wasn't just going to be an audition and you were accepted. It needed also to come with the money. And then finally, Cape Town, 4 years later, that they came to South Africa during the jazz festival.
Mm.
Then that one worked out, 2011, I believe. And then I left for my first year, 2012.
Wow. I really like the commitment and also sticking to the vision. It was like, it's a plan A. There's no plan B about this.
Oh, yeah.
There's no plan
Ride
B.
or die.
Exactly.
Ride or die.
You know, you talked about it, the engineering part, and you're definitely equally just respected for your mixing desk skills.
Mm.
And it makes me just wonder, as a musician and also as an engineer, if you actually hear music differently, from most pianists, because you also understand, what happens after the performance.
Yeah, that is key. That is quite something to reference right now, because I just did a project with a lot of people on it.
Mm-hmm.
A single that just released under the label, my label, We Want More, and collaborative project and idea. Interestingly, with a fashion house, but under the fashion house, and as far as them doing music to the catalog,
Mm-hmm.
was what made me drawn to the idea. So the fundamentals of the music were from the Runway show, and then we took that, we adapted it, produced it to become more of a single, more of a radio friendly song,
Mm-hmm.
with Stogie T on it, a great singer called La Source, and some guys that I worked with on the production. And then we got to the point where we done the production. Then it was time to listen for the mixing. Now they said, Mr. Bubu,
Mm-hmm.
you're the guy who's gonna mix this, right? And I said, no, for sure, guys.
Mm.
But the guys wanted to take a shot at it, right?
Okay.
They went and they took the shot. They sent it back. I had to listen and be like, yeah, no, guys, I'm gonna have to sit with this one myself. Now everybody else in the team did not hear what I was hearing, so that's when I was like, what do you mean you don't hear what the problem is here? And this is all across the board. I was literally the only person in the team that could hear what I needed to hear. And we had a bit of back and forth. And I said, no, these things, sometimes you just do it, right? So that they can actually listen to the differences, A and B, versus you telling them that there's a because they don't speak the same language. They don't hear the same things. So it became clear that, okay, let me do this, then send it to them. And everybody unanimously agreed a couple days later when they'd listened to my mix. And they said, oh, yeah, that's the one. We love that one. And I said, yes, guys. I knew it was going to be difficult to explain it in words. I'm just, at least you can hear it now. And so I think at that point it became like very, very clear to me that perhaps I was hearing things that people couldn't hear. I was like, no, guys, are you sure you can't hear what I'm hearing? And they were like, no.
How does that then affect maybe even your how you perform when you know that, after this or after recording this, there's other things I have to think of? Does that affect that freedom and of creativity at that moment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are things I'm thinking about because I understand the chain of production all the way to the end, which very few people do. I even call it, I think mixing and mastering is a dark art, almost the dark art and science of music making. It's a very difficult step to get into, understand, and then be proficient at. I was lucky to be sitting with a grandmaster of that, because even then, some people at the medium level I was still unable to tap into that level of mixing, right? Where I knew that if this is what they do to Beyonce's records, I mean, who else after that? What other level are we dealing with? And then he'd do a bunch of all the top records for whatever the year would be, and but the main thing was always, even in training at school at Berkeley too, that was already just the fundamental was, look, when you're in a room recording, you're gonna this information is gonna be carried through. It's the DNA of the song all the way till the end. So if you're in a room that's boomy, you're gonna have to deal with a room that's boomy when you're mixing.
Yeah,
it can't leave.
Yeah,
and then
you can't take it out.
You can't take it out. And they say the big term was, you can't polish a turd. It's like, it's a turd. You're not gonna polish it.
I mean, I guess these are things that you learned and mastered when, like you were saying, you mentioned Beyonce, and I was brought back to being just reminded about, because after you graduated, you then started working with Grammy Award-winning people, Tony Mazzaretti. And of course, working on, as you say, you worked on the Beyonce album, you worked on Keith Urban album, you worked on Gallant. So you basically also contributed to these Grammy wins or nominations, for that matter. And were you pinching yourself at some point when you were doing this? I would have.
Yeah.
Like, is that me? This little person from the Eastern Cape in South Africa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was surreal. It was always surreal being in the studio at that level and with those guys and those records. You're sitting there and you're like, well, I think this is what I was. This is the part of the vision, right? It's playing out now. Because one of the reasons I also partly was then so determined to go to Berkeley when I was here, even though I'd studied a sound engineering certificate in Randburg at in-house prior the job at Urban Brew. So, but then there was always like the engineering level that we are at as a nation is not, we still haven't caught up to the Americans.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to go there with what you've experienced, and also just here at home, and also just what you're finding yourself having to do with your engineering and mixing, as to how far are we, and do we see what we don't see, and are we even open to learn and know and concede that there's more to know?
Yes. After then having taken that trip and the journey and learning what I've learned on the other side, and then seeing where since that time what has improved, I will say there's been significant improvement, like significant. And even for me now, being home is not frustrating in the sense that it used to be, where it was like, I can't have the same conversation, or we don't speak the same language, we don't understand the same things. There's some missing information that certain engineers might not have, right? Which would have been more of the common case before versus now. I think that's now a bit more of like less of an issue. There's still room that, even now, I was after this experience I just went through. I was like, man, okay, so who are the good mix engineers in South Africa that I need to think about and be aware of? Because if I'm going to go through what I just did, I'd have to be at least having known who is the closest or who I can trust to hand over the stems that I would be handing over, And I feel like I thought about one or two studios and people who seem to have a consistent track record of mixing.
Yeah.
And but then again, that's at the top of the level of where things are here. So, but then in the medium, or then people won't understand what you're trying to achieve.
Tell me the difference, because I'm sure you've attended some live performances.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a bit of a frustration with the sound mixing and engineering at some live performances, and in terms of if there is an understanding of the difference between the studio and how you mix for a performance. Because me, as part of the audience, I can hear what I hear, and I'm like, I can't hear the piano as a piano freak fan, or the drums are loud, or the vocalist is, or whatever, kind of thing. Where's the missing Lando?
Lando. Yeah, you see now, live mixing is a whole different beast than studio mixing, right?
Sure.
We were at a show last year. I think you did the Joy of Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
That stage, the stage,
the big one.
I forgot the name of the one that you were doing the.
Dingan, I almost said Dingan. No, what's it called? Kanji? What's that stage called?
But it had Wynton Marsalis, right?
Yes. I remember we also experienced a bit of.
That was a really bad one. That one. That was terrible.
But then the other thing is, because also a lot of the musicians have their own personal sound engineers to make sure that their artists get what they know. And I'm really getting into this as a layman to understand, and also maybe for anyone going to live performances to understand if there's a challenge, who to lay the blame to, if it goes well, who to also applaud, but in the sense that depending on how things are arranged at that particular event, because yes, you can have your own sound engineer. That's why you have sound checks and all these things, because you want to then set it up and lock it in.
Mm-hmm.
But when you change over to from one setup to another setup, something goes wrong, Jelapo.
Yeah.
In between those, what goes wrong? That somebody doesn't get right.
Yeah, I think the key is the key and one of the safety checks or safety approaches for any band is to have their engineer.
Mm-hmm.
One, because they've already rehearsed the sound.
Sure.
They know, okay, this guy plays like this bass plays like this pianist, this drummer.
Mm.
And then the crew, the rest of the crew is fine because they plug and play. They can go set up the mics. They're instructed by this engineer that, hey, set up a kick there. No, I don't want the kick on the hi-hat because he plays that one too loud.
Mm-hmm.
Please push it. He knows these things ahead of time. And then he knows then his mix settings for that band. Now, I think the challenging thing, which is what I noticed also there at that show we were speaking about, is that I was like, man, definitely this is not their engineer, because he wouldn't mess it up this badly.
It was Dinner Lady stage. It came back to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And to have an engineer who can cross over to different bands is a feat on its own, and as far as someone who's super experienced, because that person would be really so good at crossing his T's and dotting his I's, because he'd understand and from experience look ahead of what the curves are for each band. He says, oh, okay, I've got 6 horns now.
Yeah.
How do I deal with that? Okay, they're going to be loud, so let me push them back, because horns blow loudly.
Sure.
So, but these are all things that an engineer who's got good live sound experience would handle.
Would have these nuances in check.
Already ready for the problems. So when you get someone who's a bit of a average or even under, they might not even see the curves coming. And then when the curves are hitting, it's like too late. You've come speeding into the curve. Now you're turning, and the audience can hear that. Oh, where's the piano?
Yeah. It's I don't know. I guess it's a conversation that maybe just go back to some of these sound engineer places that you've passed through, and also impart your experience and knowledge and things like that. But outside of that, you also have a label, Global Studio. You founded this Global Studio LA. We Want More record label. And then there's Amakinza. You vibe.
You vibe.
Tell me about these projects.
Let's start maybe with Global Sound Studio LA. I was thinking about that a couple of days ago, and that journey after working with Tony, which was literally down the road, same road. There's a bunch of studios in that neighborhood, North Hollywood. But working with these young producers there, like we were all just young and we were into the same type of music, and we had rooms that we could use that were set up as studios, and we share ideas, approaches and everything from about 2018 or so. And you almost like living it out as a freelancer. You're just in these rooms producing, recording, collaborating. And eventually the name stuck for me because I was thinking about my global presence.
Vision and presence.
Yeah. And then it was like, LA makes sense because I'm in LA. And then at least if I want to, I can have Global Sound Studio SA. Global Sound Studio,
Okay.
Yeah. So the Global Sound Studio LA is there. And then I've been here now as I'm establishing what I'm establishing. The SA is ringing more and more as I find that I need to be in the studio working in a space that I can trust too, right?
Yeah,
And say, okay, I get this room, I understand the acoustics. And that's how Global Sound Studio LA came about. And then before I'd left the country, I'd already had the We Want More idea before I went to Berkeley. After Urban Brew, I'd started freelancing under that. I was like, I like this name, We Want More. As a people, we want more.
Of what?
We want more of? Yes. Well, and in the sense of everything.
Okay.
Given that maybe it can attach to, on a philosophical level, as South Africans, the short end of the stick that we've been given. And again, I don't even say given, because the more I look into the situation, nothing most of the time ever is given. You have to take it. If you are really even freedom, anything, it doesn't seem. I mean, we're going to get into a bit of like political philosophy here, but people, when we talk about let's protest, we want justice, or give us freedom. Give freedom. No one gives you freedom. No one's ever going to give you anything.
Actually,
never.
No one owes you anything,
and they don't either. So that we want was almost like the speaking into what it is that you want, right?
Yeah.
And then music would be the case for me. We want more music. We want more entertainment. We want more, compositions. We want more. So I was able to say, okay, if there's anything I get into, it can always fit in after We Want More. Yeah. We want more fashion. We want more. So after a while of doing Global Sound Studio, 2023-ish, I was like, it came back that I think at this point I'm ready to do a label. Amakinza had already existed because of the live events that I was doing as a DJ.
Sure.
So whilst I'm doing Global Sound Studio LA, which is kind of the Monday to Friday, then on the weekends I was DJing Friday, Saturdays, private events, clubs. I'd even hit a nice Thanksgiving with Snoop. as a DJ for his Thanksgiving. So it was like really getting me around the city. And so it was always my weekend thing. And it also informed the music I was making in the studio, because I was able to see the response that people have with each song immediately. Like, oh, they love this track. They love this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what's cool now. Oh, this is what's trending. So I was always on top of the scene just because I was a DJ also. And then Amapiano came up and I was like, yo, the sound is proper. This is something worth like putting in their faces. And so I kept on like starting to push Amapiano. And then I said, okay, I need to create my own events and fully just Amapiano. And it's going to be for everyone. Anyone in LA who's ever even thought about Amapiano will say, okay, where do I go? Oh, there's this event. So those grew and became really big and beautiful Saturday day parties on rooftops in LA, Hollywood, downtown. And that's the Amakidze vibe.
Is Amapiano that big a thing out there as well?
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. This in the different cities you can see even in LA. I was leading the charge, and then there's guys in DC that are doing very well. There's Miami, there's New York.
Wow.
So they really like people who want to dance, because hip hop is like, oh yeah, you just post up on a wall. But piano, it's like that vibe of joy and happiness, and you're dancing. So people want that. So it was resonating. It was definitely resonating.
It's just so fascinating that you've collaborated with so many artists from different musical styles. The hip hop thing, African music, and also your DJ work. The fascinating part is, at the same time, you're still maintaining your identity as a jazz pianist. Why is that so important for you?
Remember when I said the foundational aspect of all of this is the piano. And that being said, then the foundational type of piano is jazz.
Okay.
And even then, with any music, jazz can be adapted, right, to a genre or fit in harmony-wise to hip-hop, to piano, anything, because it's a harmony. It's the structure of the music, right? So you can play a jazz chord or a jazz harmony chord. You get Tribe Called Quest. Back in the days when a lot of the hip hop was jazz influenced, they would just take jazz records and sample jazz records the whole time.
Yep.
So you have that fundamental, breakdown. That is why I'm like, okay, this is useful at all times in any production. If I decide to say, hey, let's make a 3-step, but jazz chords, it's gonna be useful. So I think for me, when I'm also on a personal level wanting to enjoy the music also without all the production and all the other work that gets put into making a record, just the pure musical pleasure that is within the jazz sound and jazz piano sound is worth everything.
And who do you find yourself listening to?
I listen to a lot. We'll start with, let's say, the most biggest influences and the most time I've spent listening to one pianist would probably be Bill Evans.
Hello.
Bill Evans is a titan. So him, Thelonious Monk, Keith Jarrett. Those are the three foundational people in my pianist, expression. There's a friend of mine who even commented on the fact that your hands are a little bit like Monk, the way you hit it. Like because he would hit,
Yeah.
So that's
flip
because
the wrist like that.
Yeah, and it's that thing of watching his concerts a lot or less documentaries. So I got influenced. So those are the records that and the artists that have influenced me in the piano tradition. And lately, there's just these amazing new pianists now that are just flawless. And there's one called Bandit, Baandit. That's like, okay, compositionally, they're taking it beyond just the structure of jazz harmony, but influenced by some classical arpeggiation and stuff like that. That just mixes it in so that it's like super interesting and engaging, and it's piano focused. Another younger one is I don't know who's younger between the two, but Elijah Fox is also another great pianist and a friend, actually, because we know each other from LA.
Yeah.
So these guys, I listen to the stuff and I'm like, yeah, it's giving me inspiration.
Inspiration to eventually record your own. First of all, why did you decide you'll just do a solo performance and not bring in other things that might confuse us? Because this is Apiwe Bubu, please. Don't look at the other people. Look at me. I'm joking. But I mean, the decision that, your first recording will be just you. Is this how you're introducing yourself, to say this is me, Apiwe?
Yeah, I think because I'd spent so much time in the recent years, or not even recent, in all the years I've been in the music industry and creative industries, that I was always collaborating in all my settings to exponentiate what someone else was doing, whether they are a rapper, a songwriter, if they're an engineer, if they're a producer. But it was me fitting into what they needed
of you,
of me, right? And so this would be my first release as an artist album, right? And I had to think, like, what is the expression that you want? It could be a vocal one.
There's a bit of vocals.
There's some bit of vocals there.
Yeah.
But then the piano came up as like, that's the primary instrument, and it was again close to the fact that what are the distractions, or what's the other information that could be there? Not even distractions. What's the other information that would have been there as an album? Bass, drums, guitars, horns. Definitely done that. Those arrangements I've done in an ensemble when I'm performing some of this music live. But for the first album, because I love the piano so much, I was like, I'm going to get this piano to do its job by itself.
Even to do everything by
itself. And some of these songs, there's vocals for some of them, actually. And I just was like, no, let's just have this be just the piano. The melody is going to be handled by the piano, the verse, the chorus. And then because of the idea of the album, the reflections of a sound mind, it's almost like I wanted people to also meditate and reflect through the music, the messaging in the music, the feel, the mood, the places that it can take you. I didn't want too much sound information either for that. So piano, I thought, could handle all of that.
Okay. And I hear it and I feel it when I listen to the music. I'm fascinated, though, by the titles. Johannesburg to New York. Badile.
Yes.
And then you got Intaba. And Intabeni. There's something about mountains that
big time
you clearly are fascinated or love or dream about. I don't know.
Lived. Definitely something about a mountain that I've lived and continue to live. I think for me, it's where I really go to recenter myself. It's I don't know what it is about the mountain being there. You trek it or you hike it. You get a vantage point.
Yeah.
You stay there and you think through things. So for me, that's always been the ritual. And so I have to recognize that. Even so, when I come home,
you got to see the mountain.
I got to go. They're like, we know you. You're not going to last in the city this long. You soon you'll be telling us, you're gone.
You're gone.
tapping out for a couple of weeks, and that's what I do.
You know what my dad used to say, because we used to live in Mafikeng at some point, and it's flat, and then when he'd get frustrated about people not using their mind, he'd say, the problem is it's too flat here. Once you have a mountain, it makes people imagine what's on the other side.
So it's too flat for the people when they're not.
So the mind flattens as well. But when there's a mountain, it leaves room for opening your mind and imagining. If I climb the mountain, I wonder what I'll find there, or if I go to the top, or what's on the other side.
That's a very interesting.
Yeah. So I was thinking, maybe there's something there for you in the mountain, because you're finding things there in the mountain, kind of thing. But it's like you were talking about introspection and in the music that you're recording for this album. What do you want us to think about? Who are we, or where do we want to go, or what do we want? What do we need? What should we fight for? Because as humans, sometimes we just think about a meter away from us, and or the next 5 minutes, and not and also we don't acknowledge the last hour or the last 20 years and what we've learned from that we can take into the next 20, things like that. So for me, introspection is the going back, looking forward, but still being in the presence, kind of things.
I was this week was 2 days ago. I started looking through. I don't know what I was looking for. I think I was trying to figure out where I was at a certain time in my life. A certain year, there was some country I was in and something that I did, but I just didn't know where it was, right? So I was like, let me go look at the pictures maybe, because the pictures will tell me maybe I put a location. I know which country it was, but I just don't remember which mountain it was again.
Okay.
Once again,
the mountain.
So then I looked through Facebook trying to find the picture. I get to the picture doesn't have the location. But but for me to get to that picture, which is now 14 years ago, I was like, Jesus, going through all the timeline of things, of pictures of myself in different places, and like the history that I have on Facebook just through the pictures. And then the reflection I was doing was something I was realizing I hadn't done in a while, was to see like what I've done and what I've been up to and the places I've been. And I remember there was something pressing for me to do for that day, obviously, right? There's always be like churning, trying to get things done. All of that fell away. It was like, I was like, and look at me thinking that because now the perspective I started getting in that moment was that this moment or this day or this current issue and in the present things that I'm dealing with are again going to become a storyline eventually. And they're not, they're critical to us in the moment, right?
Yeah.
They become so heavy and we get into our thoughts about it and our feelings. But if you're able to step back and take a look at the entirety of your story, then you get a real good perspective on how to deal with the issue, what the issue really means. And so that being said, with regards to the album too, my time coming home and staying this long, which is the first time I had in many, many years.
How long have you been here now?
I've been here over a year now. Before, I used to come in once a year or once every 2 years, and it would be like 3 weeks or 4 weeks average.
What was it last year? Did you leave last year when I saw you perform?
We saw each other last year, October, right?
October, yes. Oh, so you've been here. I thought you were leaving immediately after or something like that. Okay.
So
which is why it took so long to get you here. I thought you were not. Okay, but anyway.
You weren't sure if I'm around, right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, because I was spending months in a row, getting to understand and really feel the climate of South Africa and what we're dealing with now, currently. You know, things change and the timeline goes, and you're trying to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's why the album sounded the way it did, and the music and the compositions that I chose to be on the album were a reflection of what I thought as South Africans we would need to be thinking about or paying attention to.
Where do you think, now that you've been here for a year, this South African jazz sound is going?
The South African jazz sound is going. I can
Where it is?
Yeah, where it is.
And where it is going.
I'm loving the fact that we're embracing the sound is embracing more of its own identity as a people.
Yeah.
It's almost obvious that you'd overlook that and say, yeah, but naturally, yes. But if you again look at the past, it hasn't embraced it as much as it could have. And so it's a good thing to hear the music going in that direction. You get guys like Paras who are like really coming in with whatever their influence of like growing up Zulu sounds like in the jazz then, right? In that space. And there's a lot of artists that I'm thinking are taking that step in the South African jazz scene. What do you call it? You know, the word indigenous may come up, but again, we use it very carefully. But it's an element that I think is honest to who we are as a people and the culture that we acknowledge in the music by composing true to ourselves, I'd say, in that sense.
On that note, and especially based on your time in working with what happens in the US musically and in the different styles, I have a slight frustration of, I don't know if the frustration is the word, it's just, or maybe a wish of this would happen more. Because I see, even now, this year, both Miles Davis and John Coltrane are turning 100 years, would have been. And there's these musicians who are just pouring out all these recordings that they are reimagining the music of these people in tribute to them. And I'm saying, South Africa, we have all these great musicians from the past, and this is why that music lives on for generations, because it is always being celebrated.
Yeah.
And here at home, it'll be celebrated on a live performance, and it's gone.
Yeah.
But that legacy is not on record.
On record.
For the next generation to say, yes, I may not hear a Mankunku, because Mankunku does not vibe with the sound of today.
Yeah.
But if I hear Apiwe Bubu doing a Mankunku, I will know there was a Mankunku once upon a time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like even now, there's a song I'm obsessed with. Bambisa.
Tete Bambisa.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that song name? That's, you see those songs where you're like, this is a classic. First of all,
Sure.
this should be played, re-recorded, like you're saying, again and again and again.
May not be duplicated per note, but reimagined for the current consumption and understanding.
Yeah, we were having this conversation with Prahebi Saule.
Okay.
and we were talking about he's got an idea that resonates in that way, and I was like, I agree with you that we should, and this is to put on record. So those are conversations that are being had, because it's pretty clear that like you're thinking and how you're saying that there's so much of this music that makes that is a soundtrack or a moment that has happened, and it's worth repeating and letting others know where.
And especially when the originals are not as easily available anymore.
The originals?
The original recordings of the artist themselves are not necessarily that available. But I'm glad those conversations are happening because it has been one of my. It makes me like, I wish I could make music. That's what I do.
Yeah, I'm really obsessed about the song. Can you just check which song? Just look up the
Nothemba Bisa song.
Nothemba Bisa.
Okay.
Look up and tell. There's this one song that I just.
What were you playing out in the piano outside?
I must have been playing Abdullah Ibrahim's Meditation.
Okay.
That's one of his compositions that he did on his solo piano project that I'm in love with. So I like that one when I'm sitting at the piano just to warm up a little bit.
I've got quick answers I want from you. Music is?
Life.
Silence is?
Golden.
Success is?
Wonderful.
Failure is?
A learning curve.
Home sounds like?
Joy.
The piano teaches me?
Everything.
Do you like to compose or perform?
Absolutely. Compose.
Do you like the morning or do you like midnight?
Midnight.
Studio or stage?
Absolutely. Studio.
Perfection or emotion?
Emotion.
Why did you have to think about that one?
I'm a perfectionist. So naturally, as a Virgo, we'd want to be perfect. We are so drawn to this.
Virgo, okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
But I've learned a few things along the way that, in fact, the emotion is pertinent to being perfect.
Analog or digital?
Both.
Headphones or speakers?
Both.
Ropa manje.
Yeah, I'm you know what I'm referencing there?
Yeah.
I'm referencing Drinks Champ is a podcast, right? It's Noriega. These hip hop artists come in and they had George Clinton on there.
Yeah.
And they give him these two questions: Tupac or Biggie?
Yeah.
Prince or Michael? And he said both for like 80% of that. And he's laughing at them, going like, "You're not gonna have me choose between these two people." But it was funny.
Yeah. Did you answer analog or digital?
Both.
Oh, you said both. New York or Johannesburg?
You know what? I'll have to say Johannesburg. Yeah.
No, don't explain. You wish musicians were more...
in tune with themselves.
They'll have to get it. The biggest misconception about jazz is
that it's old.
You know, people would be surprised to know that I'm
a historian.
Okay. The hardest lesson I've ever learned.
It's a do-it-your-own project. Do-it-yourself project.
Mm-hmm.
It's a do-it-yourself project. Life.
Okay. I get it now. Okay. I'm trying to wrap it up. What's the first song that made you cry? And why?
Interesting, because it's a tough one to really identify, but if closest I am, it would be Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, because at the time I would have been so young. There was no one else I was listening to anyway, so that would probably be the closest because of the messaging and the music is about.
Steinway or Yamaha?
Steinway.
Should I even ask?
Yeah, I know. It's like, Yamaha's done well so far.
Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock.
Herbie.
Abdullah McCoy, Tyner.
Abdullah.
Vinyl or streaming?
Absolutely vinyl.
Writing alone or collaborating? Okay, that's my last one.
Okay. Wow, definitely both. Writing alone or collaborating? There's no choice. There's definitely both there.
Wow. That's good. It's okay.
Yeah, both. Definitely.
The AI thing coming in. What's it doing for you?
Yeah.
Or what is it not doing for you?
I knew the AI was going to come up, eh? It's like, how
It's an afterthought, actually. I wasn't even go there.
Is it?
It's just like, okay, while I'm on the streaming and
Yes.
vinyls and whatever there is this
AI thing, hey? I'm embracing it. I'm going to embrace it because I think I've seen it. I've seen this happen before, and as far as all the tools that come up in music making and stuff like that, right? There was a time when Pro Tools Digital was like the AI of the time, just having in the box Pro Tools because everything was tape. So you see that technology happening and the changes that affect the industry and people push back. Now my thing is that AI, and as far as it allows you to prompt an idea, what I'm really saying is a problem is that prompting a song is the problem. You can prompt, hey, I want a guitar like this, but you still have to produce that, right? You still have to take the guitar, arrange it, and make a song from your own ideas, right? So what I'm saying that possibly they could do is that they could make sure all ideas, when you prompt them, are a minute maximum, because then you can't get a song out of because you can't just sit there and say I want this type of song. That's just too much. Yeah, because that means you didn't do anything. So I think that could limit the problem.
I was actually thinking, will the challenge for AI be it'll never have the experience?
True. I don't find it as a threat.
Okay.
Let me put that out there already. That's mainly one. Definitely, it's not human. Can't be human. Doesn't, like you say, have the experience. It's a machine that's just algorithmically calculating what it does.
Stealing.
It can't compare. It can't really compare.
Yeah.
So even with the album, because I was thinking about this with Reflections of a Sound Mind, and I said, could AI have done that? The music.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't, because when you think about, because that's a raw piano, the way I played it, the way it's decisions that I made in real time, right? And notes that come from my expression and my experience and what I felt would resonate at a certain part of the song.
With an emotion.
With an emotion behind attached to it. Hence, then it doing well and looking at now the reception that it's gotten, even now, what is it, in August for the 10th Mzansi, I didn't know the 10th Mzansi Jazz Awards.
You were nominated for that.
Best African Jazz and Best African Jazz Album and Best African Jazz Artist.
Yeah.
The African Jazz part is important to me.
Yeah.
That
element.
So people can vote. It's a voting award.
Yep. Yes, in fact, they can just go to the Mzansi Awards.
Is it a website?
Yeah, I think there's a site, and also on their social media pages, they let everyone know how to vote for whoever.
So the reception has been good, and I think what AI for me is a tool.
Okay,
it's a tool. Yes, the scandals about artists getting big now, from prompting the songs. The songs are still good. We're not hating on them.
At the end of the day. Last question: where can we come see you perform soon? Before you globetrot again.
There's going to be a Hughes date coming up. Hughes Jazz Club.
Hughes Jazz Club
in October. That's the next public one. I'm having a private one, but before that, but publicly October. Oh yes, and then there's also September. So October Hughes. I'll announce the date. Likely the first week.
Okay.
And then the last week of September in Cape Town at the Athletic Social Club. I think people are aware of where that is.
Yeah.
In Cape Town. And then I think there's another one at the French Alliance the same week.
So where do people find you if they are in love with Apiwe Bubu and want to tell you how awesome you are?
Find me on the socials as Apiwe, APIWE, no H. So APIWE BUBU. I'm very active on Instagram, not so much on TikTok, Facebook there, but mostly.
What do you post on Instagram?
What do I?
What do you post? What do you post about?
What do I post? Music related.
Okay.
Releases, the late performances, anything live or anything that has to do with recording, compositions. It's all the music related work that I do.
Yeah.
Apiwe Bubu, APIWE.
Thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure. I was worried about the morning element, but we made it.
Listen, I know all you creatives always complain about the morning.
No, when I woke up this morning, but I love it.
Yes.
But now it's, we're dealing with the evening.
But it doesn't matter. Any time of the day is good time for jazz and beyond. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Totally enjoyed our conversation and getting to know more about you.
Come for the jazz and stay for the good times.
On Jazz and Beyond with Nothemba Madumo.
On 702 and CapeTalk.